I want to thank Kevin for all his hard work. Also, his predecessor, Jared Moskowitz, worked really hard, and our emergency management folks are really great. I mean, you got to be in Florida, and I know at the local level we've got a lot of great people too. So it's just, we're proud of having the type of folks that we have that have helped. So I want to thank Kevin for leading a great team. And then now we have a Dane Eagle, Department of Economic Opportunity.
Well, I want to thank the governor for the opportunity and his leadership all along the way. We're here at the 3-year anniversary of Hurricane Michael, and hurricanes are nothing to be celebrated, but what we can celebrate today is the collaborative efforts of everybody towards recovery. Through the local community who has suffered through the storm, but then were boots on the ground the next day, helping their neighbors, their family, of course, as well, to the state leadership under Governor DeSantis and the feds. This has been remarkable. I know a lot of numbers were thrown around today, but if you add it all up, under the governor's leadership, the state has been able to award the Panhandle community in Northwest Florida through Hurricane Michael $1.5 billion. That's a significant amount of money. And any governor could come in and make promises and deliver and say it's been 3 years and $1 billion, let's move on. This governor has not. We have come back again, and again to make sure that we are holding up the promise he made on day one of his administration. I was in the legislature serving with Jay, Representative Trumbull at the time, and it was so refreshing to see this governor come in and really focus on the need. And here we are 3 years later, and in this role, I'm so thankful to be able to help deliver on that. The governor told me on day one, we've got this money coming down from the feds, don't sit on it, get it out. A month later, I was able to sign a grant agreement with Secretary Carson with HUD, and through the collaborative efforts of Director Guthrie and FEMA, we've been able to do $1.5 billion, and there's still so much more to come. So $3.1 million today, that's remarkable. It's a drop in the bucket compared to the bigger number, and there's still more to do. So we'll be back again and again. It's because of the governor's leadership. So thank you all very much.
And we've been fortunate from the time I came into office in 2019 to have 2 years of really great support from the federal government. I mean, obviously the president, Secretary Carson, that storm happened today. I can't guarantee you we get quite the same amount of support, but who knows? And it's interesting. Where did we, when we announced the 100% reimbursement and the 90-10, do you remember where we did that announcement at?
Yeah, so it was out at Pier Park. So
yeah, okay.
The president came in and you worked him over.
Well, because what happened was, it's an interesting story. I came here and said, we're with you, I'm going to do what I can. And so we were looking at, like Mexico Beach. I mean, they have like a $3 million annual budget, and their debris costs were like tens of millions of dollars. So it's like, how are you going to be able to do that even at a 75% match? And so we wanted to get 45 days of 100% reimbursement, particularly for the debris removal, and then 90% for every day after that. And so that was basically a lot of money. I mean, it probably ended up being $250,000 in additional than what we would have had if we didn't do it. But so we came, we saw that was a clear need, so I flew up to Washington either very soon after that, a day or two after that, and I met with President Trump. So I'm in the Oval Office, and just me sitting like across from him at the desk. Mick Mulvaney was the acting chief of staff. I served in Congress with Mick. He's a good friend of mine. He does not like spending money on anything, so he was not going to necessarily be my friend on this. And so Mick's kind of pacing in the background. And then the president put the FEMA director on, Brock Long, who's another good guy. And, he's reading, President Trump's reading my letter, my request. And to Brock, he's like, what do you think, Brock? And you could tell, look, Brock was respectful of me, but it was a big ask, and so he just kind of was like, well, there's a lot of other things. So he didn't say no, but he didn't say yes, but it was kind of like, and I was just like, look, Mr. President, this, and it kind of was underrated as a storm, because from what Kevin said, 72 hours before, this was not like Dorian, where it was Category 5 for like a week, and we're just waiting to get hit. Unfortunately, we didn't. This thing happened very quickly. And even probably 24 hours, it was probably a category? Yeah, it was yeah. So this thing, And then it was like a bull. So, and I told them, I said, you go and look, and I mean, there are things that are just totally obliterated. The costs are going to be enormous. And I was like, you know what? These folks are working hard. They're resilient, but we need help. And so the president's like, he's like, yeah, he's like, we'll do it. And he's like, you go down and tell those folks that we're doing it, that we're here for you. We're here for you, Governor. We're here for people to panhandle. And I'm like, good. So I'm walking out, and Mick grabs me when we leave the Oval Office, and he's like, do not announce that. And I was like, why? He said, and in Mick's defense, he made a good point. He's like, you didn't put the dollar amounts on your sheet. I mean, we got to figure out how much this is going to be. That's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars. And he may want to do it. I was like, well, but I mean, he said he wanted to do it. I was like, listen. And he's like, just give me 24 hours, okay? And whatever. And so, I'm thinking, look, they're going to present him with numbers that say, you're just authorizing $200-300 million additional. Do you really want to do that, especially given all the different budget constraints that we're constantly under up in Washington? So I'm like, fine. So we waited, and I told these guys, I'm like, I'm going to come announce this. And so it hit 24 hours. We had not heard from Mick. So I got on the plane, we went, and we announced it. And I had almost every leader in Bay County up. Everyone was excited. Everyone knew it was a big deal. President, incidentally, was very happy. Mick was not as happy because he's like, but I gave you the 24. I mean, what am I supposed to do? So we did it, announced it, and then obviously at that point, we just got the ball rolling, and so it was good. But I appreciated the president because most of the staff, because look, it's not that they had anything against here, but a staffer is going to look at it and say, well, if you do it for them, you got to do it for California wildfire. You got to do it for this. You got to do it for that. So that's what they were doing, and I understand that. But I think the president understood. He understood the area. He understood. He loved the people here, and I'd like to think that I was persuasive, and so he did it, and he didn't need to necessarily have 6 committees meetings with different staffers. It was the right thing to do, and so he did it. And so we were happy to do that, and I think that's really made a difference, as well as all the other things that Kevin and Dane have been working on, and we're going to do more. We've got more money to be able to do, and there's a lot more work to be done. But I think as Jay mentioned, man, I mean, there's a lot of life. I think the best days of this community are still in front of us. I mean, I flew in, the airport's busy. I mean, people realize, as sad as it was to see the Mexico Beach, a lot of people had never even heard of Mexico Beach. And so they're looking at this like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful beaches and all this other stuff. And so I think especially as, you've had COVID lockdowns drive people to Florida, this was a place not just to move, but to vacation, because if people are going to vacation, I think one of the reasons we've done so well in tourism, particularly in this part of the state, is because if people go on vacation, they want to be able to be on vacation. They don't want to be hectored about wearing a mask or all this other stuff. They just want to be able to make the choices that they want to make. And so I think they knew that coming to a place like Bay County and other parts of Northwest Florida, they were going to be able to have a normal vacation. And I tell you, I get correspondence from people that write into my office that talk about how important it was for them to come to Florida for 2 weeks when they escaped a lockdown last winter, let's say, in some of these other states, just for their physical and their mental well-being. And I get thanks on that all the time, and really it's thanks to people who are in those industries and in those communities. And so, yes, we look at it and we see, oh man, tax revenue, people are paying, the hotel taxes, all that, people are coming down, the restaurants are doing good, all this stuff, and that's great. And that's important, but there's also the flip side of that is really helping a lot of people to be able to have a place to come to over this as many times, and it's just it's exciting to see that we have a path back, and so we'll be back. Whatever Jay cooks up in the budget, as long as he's nice to me, I'll approve it for Northwest Florida, but I think we're going to be able to continue to put some points on the board, continue to move the ball forward on this and many other issues that affect not just Northwest Florida, but the entire state of Florida. So thanks, everybody. It's in some respects, it seems like only yesterday when I was out here touring the damage. On the other hand, there's been a lot that's happened in the last 3 years, both in our state and in our country and around the world. And so I think as we look back on the 3 years, just know that you're not alone, that you got the state of Florida behind you going forward. We understand it takes time, and we'll be there. But you know, as tough as it was to see the damage and the destruction and the people displaced, and we should never forget that. You know, you saw an awful lot of resiliency. You saw an awful lot of people banding together. You saw an awful lot of people digging down deep to help their neighbors and their friends. And, you know, and that's what strong communities do. And so I think that the test that was brought is not one you want to have on any community, but I can tell you the response and the resiliency from my vantage point here has been admirable. So my hat's off to you. You've made our jobs easier in terms of our support that we've provided because of the way that you basically have bounced back and have been very resilient in the face of difficult circumstances. So God bless everybody here, and we'll be back soon. Thank you.
See y'all. Thanks. Congrats.
It's not one of our other perfect.
It's good to see you. It's great to see you. Yeah.
Okay. They're about to go live. Okay.